Hello everybody, this is Tamara Childs. I am an intuitive. I am a life alchemist, which means we can change the things energetically that we don't like in our lives into something new so we can receive more. And I'm also the creator of the Empath Toolkit, a series that I'm doing about the nature of sensitive people. So today's video is about the difference between introversion, being highly sensitive, and being an empath, because those are three terms that are kind of thrown around a lot, and I just want to give you my take on these three forms of sensitivity, let's put it that way. So the way that I see this is that being an introvert or introversion is a psychological disposition. And it's a form of sensitivity that you have on the mind level. Introverts are very sensitive to information on the mind level. They take in information, they see details that extroverted people don't see sometimes. So, they get tired more easily just because they're very focused on detail. They're focused on, is it this versus that? And so they're very good researchers. They catch the mistakes that other people who are less careful don't catch. And introverts typically are people who prefer one-on-one contact and interactions versus being in a group. If you've ever gone out with an extrovert, that person, it's almost like they expand when they're in a group of people, because they're getting energy. It's like they're absorbing energy and they're getting filled up with that. Whereas the introvert, you look at the introvert when you're out somewhere in a concert or the mall, the introvert is like, pulling their coat closer and trying to kind of protect themselves because they're easily drained by groups. And so typically an extrovert recharges themselves and their energy by being around other people. That's relaxing and good for them. It's expansive. And the introvert gets a little bit drained. And how the introvert gets recharged is by being alone with their own thoughts. So the second form of sensitivity is being highly sensitive. Now, I find that this is true of the nervous system. It's like having a nervous system that is magnified, where you get overstimulated very easily. These are the people who sometimes will react physically. This is at the body level, where if they get a scrape or a scratch, it'll affect them. They have a low pain threshold. That's the way that I describe myself. I'll go to a doctor and I'll say, look, I'm a person who has a low pain threshold. And they'll say, it's very refreshing to hear you say that, because most people say they have a high pain threshold. And so this is on the physical level. So highly sensitive people have to be very careful about energy output and stress and getting easily stressed. Things that don't bother other people, for example, certain sounds can be very, very overly activating for them or irritating. They get easily irritated or uncomfortable. If you're around somebody who's not very sensitive, they might be scraping, a knife or a fork, metal against metal in a pan. And I know for me, it's really hard to hear that. And it's just the way I'm built. It's just the way a highly sensitive is built. So gotta love it. Now, an empath is energetically and psychically sensitive. And what that means is that you can walk in a room or in an office and you can feel the vibes. You can read people's emotional state. You can read it emotionally. So you soak it up. And these are the psychic sponges. These are the people who are on the emotional level, psychically. They're actually sensitive to the thoughts of other people. They're sensitive if somebody says, oh, I'm fine. They can read the energy behind that and see, no, you're not fine. And what happens to all three of these types, the introvert, the highly sensitive, and the empath, is that they get invalidation, because we live in, kind of a muscle man society, and we live in a culture that doesn't really value sensitivity. but needs it. It needs the detail conscious introvert. It needs the sensitive nervous system of the highly sensitive that can pick up clues and hear sounds and pick up nuances that less sensitive people can't. And it also needs the sensitivity of the empath, because when you have these sensitivities, you are aware of things that can be fixed, changed, or improved in the world. So I hope this has been helpful for you, just listening to this, and maybe seeing a little bit of yourself in all three of these forms of sensitivity on the mind, body, and soul level, and see where you fit on this continuum of sensitivity.